for a second.
Looks good.
Yes.
Hello, folks. It's time for Fandango Friday. Fandango Friday. And James P. Madonna has the famous Johnny Walker.
Yeah, I got Johnny Walker Red Label. I just brought up some information I was reading about it, and it is Johnny Walker Red Label is their basic recipe for mixing. It is their mixer Scotch version, and there is a difference between Red Label and Black.
Yeah.
Black is more
12,
premium.
yeah, 12-year age, Jim.
Yeah, and there's just some information concerning it. It says here, Johnny Walker Red Label, a powerful mix of up to 30 malts and grains. It's a combination of light whiskies from Scotland's east coast and more peaty whiskies from the west coast of Scotland. Peaty is in, I guess, smoked peat moss. Expertly balanced to create an extraordinary depth of flavor. And then it mentions it is recommended for mixing, but you can drink it straight. Black Label, well, they're both 80 proof. Black Label is 12-year-old 40 whiskeys. And that's pretty much it. And then it mentions that Johnny Walker was introduced in 1820. And then it mentioned the location, which is very hard to pronounce, Kilmarnock, Ayrshire. Diageo is the manufacturer.
Right, Diageo.
Diageo, interesting.
It used to be known as Guinness, but Guinness merged with Grand Metropolitan, so it's Diageo now. But it's owned by Guinness. Okay.
Grocery store 1865, introduced 1820. So that means it was available in retail stores, I guess, or grocery stores.
Well, there's a little bit more to that. I think he started his operations in 1820. It wasn't really too big. I don't think anybody had Johnny Walker but John Walker started that, and then it kind of grew, and he decided to focus on Scotch whiskey. It didn't really start that way, and then his sons got involved as Johnny Walker and Sons. Then, of course, as he died, and then the sons took over, and then they died, and the company got bought out. But it wasn't even called Johnny Walker until I think 1909.
It says here it was called Extra Special Old Highland Whiskey.
Yeah.
Extra Special Old Highland Whiskey. And it took on the Red Label name in 1909. 1909, they switched to Red Label.
And then the Black at the same time. They rebranded it. And then there was an artist who did a lot of commercial art. He devised the striding man, the Johnny Walker, the guy walking. And so and then it became a big phenomenon, and it's one of the top selling whiskeys in the world today. It's the best selling Scotch whiskey in the world. So yeah, every bar has Johnny Walker Red Label. There isn't a bar that doesn't have it.
Now I was reading an article about this, what was rated the smoothest of whiskeys, and Patty's didn't even make the list, but they mentioned that they mentioned 18-year-old and even older, 21-year-old whiskeys will be both Irish and Scottish. I think it's here's the list. It says the best light and smooth whiskeys. Orcento Sean, 1978. Orcento Sean. Then there's Bushmills, 21-year-old. And then there's an Orcento Sean, 21-year-old. Glen Morangi, 18-year-old, extremely rare. Redbreast, 12-year-old, Canapog Castle, and then Balvenie, 14-year-old, Caribbean Cask, and then there's a Tormentool brand, 14-year-old whiskey. But it's like with restaurant critics, like what you were saying before. One person's
Right.
perception and taste buds are not going to be identical.
Right. It's this somebody's opinion. Cheers, Ronald. One of the. Oh, thank you. Soviet battle mole.
All right.
So I'm very curious about Johnny Walker because I plan to do a solo review of it next week because I'm going to start doing taste challenges with the Johnny Walker Red Label. And I had a coupon. I got $4 off the bottle. I got a $4 discount off of the big bottle, the normal size bottle. And
I like the black. I thought the black was pretty good.
Yeah, I never had the black. I know you did one in our hangouts, and I do plan to buy it one day.
Did you try the Grants yet?
Hey, Bill. No, I have it on the shelf, and it's in the lineup. I have Grants, John Barr, Johnny Walker Red Label, and I have Johnny Walker Blue Label. Those are the 4 Scotch whiskeys I have ready to go.
Yeah, I did like the Buchanan's.
Yeah, that's a jewel. I have a full-size bottle of that. The Blue Label Johnny Walker was very expensive. It cost me a lot of money.
Yeah, you're gonna drink that on really special occasions, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, paying $229.19 plus tax is not like an everyday thing. I don't believe. Well, maybe for some people.
Yeah, it's relative, I guess. To a rich person, the gasoline consumption of a Lamborghini is a drop in a bucket. Compared to the average person. So, you stretch it out, just make it
right.
last.
I figured it's a one-time thing, I'll go to the base model to the top model, and then I'll just over the next 10 years, bring in the middle range. So cheers to all the viewers. People are jumping on to watch. So cheers to everybody. And I have 2 Canadian you have blended Scotch and I have blended Canadian whiskey, which is built according to the same principles, but then the Canadian doesn't use the peat fires because that's a Irish and Scottish thing. So here is the Northern Lights from 1968. Well, that's when it was introduced. And if you look, remember, you might have seen this. When the light hits it, it makes the Northern Lights on the label. So, but I see it. So I've got that, and it's 80 proof. And the competitor is Canadian Hunter, which came out in 1984, and same year as Ronald Reagan's re-election. And it used to be called Seagram's Canadian Hunter, but then Seagram's went out of business. So Sazerac bought both of these from other companies. Sazerac of New Orleans, they're only 20. Now, let's see where. Their office is about 31 miles from my house, 31 miles. So they own the Northern Lights, which they bought from someone, and they own Canadian Hunter. And they're both Canadian whiskey with natural flavors, meaning anything. It could be plum wine. Apparently, they use a lot of plum wine, maybe blending sherry, rum, brandy, and even American bourbon to flavor. It has to be something like that, Asian wood. And this bottle is famous or whatever because it has a bullet on it. I'm sure the neo-Puritans would probably try to get that banned. Because it's a hunter. So hunters use guns. So, and he's got a rifle, so that's very triggering. I mean, I feel triggered right now just looking at the label.
Yeah, well, it could be a hunt. It could be an indigenous person with a blowgun in the Amazon. It could be an English longbow. It could be anything. They just it means nothing. It's just called the hunter. Big deal. For somebody to to read too much into anything.
Right, but you know, modern mankind likes to read into everything. Okay,
Yeah.
so well, I'm gonna feature you first because you're the guest. So you're gonna tell us about the very famous Johnny Walker Red Label, which I can't wait to get my hands, or I should say, my tasting facilities onto next week.
Okay. What the heck?
While you're doing that, I'm gonna pour mine and mix them up.
Yeah, you might as well. You might as well do something because I'm trying to.
Can't get the cap off, huh?
I'm trying to unscrew this. It's just a little bottle, right?
I've gone through that many times.
How did that? Speaking of the guy mentioning the Soviet, how did that song go? You know what I better do? I know what I better do. I better use my rubber glove inside. Hold on, let me get my avatar going.
Okay.
And you
All right.
show
I'll
people.
do my thing. I'll do my thing. We're very adaptable here to. Oh wait, he's drinking Johnny Walker Red. Let's see. Hey, Backwoods Billy, you should join us and do this hangout with us. You know what I mean? From the eastern shore of Maryland. Hello, D&D and Deadlifts. Oh, I don't think he's tried that, but he's had Jägermeister.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take over the feature and then I'll go back to James. Well, I poured these two, and what I noticed, I thought they would be very similar. They are, but I noticed in my left hand, the Northern Lights. That's why I put labels so I don't forget. This is the Northern Lights. It's a little bit darker than the Canadian Hunter. Now, David Garlapede and I, we did a duo review of Hunter Rye. There's a version called Hunter Rye. It's heavily rye. It's got a lot of heavy rye whiskey, and it's 90 proof. I've not seen a full-size bottle of it, however, but I'm sure I could find it. Oh, well, you picked a good one, Friar Tuck. You can join us anytime you like, of course. Do I remember who you are? Well, no, because a lot of people on here use aliases, and I don't know who they are, and then they'll change their name, and it makes it even more difficult. Oh, you got a good deal. You're going to try the 100 Pipers tonight. Great. Now, like FACP monitoring, obviously an alias. No one named their child FACP monitoring. He lives around me. I don't know who he is. I probably know him or whatever, but he's keeping his self secret, which is fine because he's a very pleasant person to talk to.
Yeah, some people with aliases are harmless. They're not malicious or you know, they don't mean any harm. But then there are others that are trolls.
Right, and we don't want to entertain those lesser lights of the internet world.
That were malevolent, right? Malevolent.
Okay, so on the nose here, I'm getting a lot of. Well, there's the background of the corn because these Canadian whiskeys are almost completely using pulverized corn as their grain. And what is that? Grits. And it's yellow corn, the polenta, okay? Eastern Europeans know it as polenta. And so you get that, but that's the undertaste or the undersmell. The over aroma is sort of like your flavorings, your plum wine and perhaps white or silver rum. So, okay. Now I'm going to step over to this one. It has a very similar aroma, but this one maybe has a little more barrel action going on, oak barrel. It does have that plum wine thing going. Maybe the blending sherry. They're similar, but they're not identical. I can assure you of that. The Canadian Hunter is bottled in Frankfort, Kentucky, at a place known as Buffalo Trace. Okay, Buffalo Trace makes many very expensive whiskeys, but they also produce a whole lot of budget products. And then the Northern Lights is bottled in Louisville, Kentucky. But ultimately, the two companies are owned by the same people. So I did the smell test, and I'm going to go back to the taste test later. We're going to go to James, who I think was able to break that cap.
Yeah, I just used the rubber glove in the kitchen.
Oh yeah, I know all your on Facebook. I'm with you. I'm Justin XD. Oh hey Justin, I hope you're a member of Alcohol Eggs.
Okay, now, according to what I'm reading here, it's not a 12-year-old Scotch whiskey like Johnny Walker Black Label, but it says here 30 malts and grains, which I'm not sure what that means. I know there are many different types of hops in beer making, but I don't know what 30 malts means, but I'm going to try this.
I'll explain it.
Okay.
Oh, good. You're in Alcohol Eggs. All right. Well, when they make blended Scotch whiskey, they take a whole bunch of grain whiskey,
right,
which is column still. That's a distillation method called column still, and it mostly produces body, no flavor, no aroma, just baked whiskey. The grain whiskey, that's the grain whiskey. The malt whiskey is coming from single malt, which is copper pot stilled. The single malt whiskeys are going to give the Johnny Walker the flavor and the aroma. Okay. The grain whiskey is going to give it the body. So there's your answer. And they blend them together, and they have to have a pretty strict blending protocol because it's very difficult to blend it. Okay, so now we're going to let James talk.
Yeah, well, it's that's what it says. It's a blend, 30 malts and grains, and it's just not a 12-year-old, but
about 3 years probably. Yeah,
it's good. I mean, it's definitely it definitely has a strong malty aroma and robust flavor. It's not mild. I don't know. I mean, they recommend it as a mixer.
Yeah.
But, I mean, drinking it straight is pretty decent. Also, very strong aroma and flavor. You know, you can tell that there's smoked peat involved, of course. It reminds me a lot of the Buchanan's, except of course Buchanan's is it's much smoother because it's aged.
12 years, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, this is not. This doesn't smell and taste like a cheap whiskey that you would just recommend for mixing, like a cheaper vodka or gin. You know, I mean, a lot of people say that, you know, the gin is good, is recommended for mixing, but when I had that Tanqueray straight, it was very pleasant.
Yeah.
With a citrusy flavor. So some companies might recommend a product for mixing only, but you know, they're saying you can drink it straight. But if you're going to go for something like that, you can drink straight. Get the Black Label.
Yeah,
which is one step. I think it's the second tier.
Yeah,
from the bottom.
Right.
That will be the bottom of the barrel.
That's right. And then they also make a double black, which would be more expensive. Johnny Walker run you about $18 to $22 a bottle usually. That's what it'll run.
Yeah. So double black would be it would be just older, right? What, was it 18-year-old?
It might be. I'm not sure about double black. I know it's more expensive, so it's probably. And then they make a green label. They make a platinum label. They make
Wow.
the blue labels. They're really expensive. Now, Inman, I have not had any Doom. I have not read any Doom Patrol comic books, but I have many comic books featuring the Doom Patrol, because for many years Doom Patrol was in other books. So that's a cute little bottle. But I don't have any Doom Patrol titles. Is that a plastic or glass?
So anyway,
Is it plastic or glass?
no, this is plastic.
Okay.
I think whiskey is fine at room temperature. It's not like when I had the Kraken rum and the Johnny Walker. I'm sorry, the Kraken rum and the Bacardi Black. I had it in the freezer.
Yeah.
And it does taste better ice cold. Vodka, of course, tastes better out of the freezer.
Yeah.
The gin, yeah. The actually, I found one more small bottle of Grey Goose wheat vodka in the freezer. I had gotten extra. I know no, they do have small bottles of Wheatley. Maybe I'll get some of those. But anyway, I like it a lot, even though it's the most inexpensive Johnny Walker. It reminds me a lot of the Buchanan's, except not as smooth. But it's a shame that the stores here don't have the large bottles of Patties. They just have Bushmills and Jameson's Irish. Yeah. Because I was impressed with the Patties.
Yeah, we get regular Patties here, regular size bottles here, right there. I can almost see the store from my house. Like, it's so close. It's not even 1 mile. I could walk to the store. And
now, this reminds me a lot of the Grants, as far as a lower end Scotch whiskey. This does remind me of the Grants, or Glen Silver would be just a wee bit more expensive than Grants, but still an inexpensive blended Scotch whiskey from a small company, Glen Silver. But this does remind me a lot of the Grants. I think you're gonna like the Grants. It's like the men's club. You're gonna like the way you look. I guarantee it. The guy that got fired.
Oh, right, Men's Warehouse.
Men's Warehouse. You gotta like the way you look. They should have kept him because he was like, trademark for. But anyway, it does remind me very much like the Grants and the Glen Silver blended Scotch whiskies, and I like it. I would be a fool to say I don't like it because it is a Johnny Walker product. But as an affordable one, red label, it's not bad at all. Consumed straight, even though the company is saying use it as a mixer in whiskey cocktails.
Yeah.
There's a lot of macro guys out there, huh?
Yeah, he likes Beck's.
Yeah.
Beck's from Germany.
Beck's. I used to drink Warsteiner from Germany, which was
that's a good one.
It wasn't like a heavy lager. I thought it would be, but it's not. It was light, like a Pilsner.
Warsteiner is an interesting story because it was a family-owned company, and they got bought out by Anheuser-Busch InBev. They actually repurchased the company back from Anheuser-Busch, and now it's family-owned again. The family raised money and bought it back.
Actually, the guy that used to cut my hair, a German man, Teddy, is the one that recommended Warsteiner. I don't even know if he's still alive. He showed me his papers. He showed me his papers from World War II. He had the lightning bolts. He was a Gestapo.
Oh, the lightning bolts and SS. That's
SS. He was an SS, and he was a damn good barber. Teddy the barber, I call him. And he had a heavy German accent. You know, James, the German people, we eat lots of sausages, he used to tell me. I says, yeah, I know. I says, I like sausages myself. And we used to talk about food, of course, and Limburger cheese and all that good stuff. Yeah, so anyway, yeah, he told me about Warsteiner and the Warsteiner. Try the Warsteiner. And you know, and then he's I don't know what happened to him, but he showed me his papers, and I asked him if he knew Dr. Mengele. He says, "No, I don't know that guy. Are you kidding me? Don't put me with him." He said, "Dr. Mengele." Yeah. So anyway, I like it. Of course, I'm going to say I like it. It's a Johnny Walker product. Will I get a big bottle of any of this stuff? Probably not. I would probably get a Grant's as a large bottle.
Yeah, I have a huge bottle of it, the triangle bottle.
Yeah, the triangular, the Delta, whatever you want to, the wedge bottle. Uncle just got Doom Patrol Bronze Age Omnibus.
Yeah, I have so many different books with Doom Patrol going back 40 to even 50 years. So I'd have to really think about it. And man, I do have some. The ensemble books I have though really are Batman and the Outsiders, and
now the Comic-Cons, do they come to Louisiana? The Comic-Con conventions?
And I have Legion of Superheroes, Superboy and the Legion. Yeah, we do have Comic-Cons here. Yeah, I used to go to those back in the 80s. They were really good.
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm going to talk about these Canadian whiskeys. I'm not going to go too long. All right. Get my glasses off. I don't need these glasses to see. I don't really need these glasses to do these videos because I can just kind of
your hair and your beard is growing like weeds. Like
yeah,
say like weeds.
People are gonna think I'm Captain Ahab.
Gregory Peck played him.
This one smells really nice. Now, I didn't pay much for these. The Northern Lights was $9.99, and the Canadian Hunter was $8.99. Of course, I had to pay tax. Now, this smells like what do these things smell like? It's almost like you can't describe them. There's grain, and there's like a candy, but it's not really, but it's like a sweet candy thing. It's hard. If you're not drinking it, it's hard for me to relate it to you. You'd have to try it yourself. Well, $19 plus tax, big deal, you know. Go out there and check them out. It's smooth. There's some tea-like qualities. Tea, right? No, this is not made with tea leaves. I can just think, to me, it tastes like melted candy sugar. Like if you took sugar that you would make candy with and you melted it down. That might sound bizarre, but Canadian whiskey in some ways is bizarre. If you're used to drinking Scotch or Irish whiskey, forget it. It won't taste anything like that. If you're used to drinking bourbon, forget it. It's not going to taste anything like that. It's its own animal, and I don't know what else to say about it. This other one, okay, it has some of the things I just described, but what I'm noticing here is a lot more wood. What do we mean? The barrel. They use old bourbon barrels for most Canadian whiskey. Like they'll buy used barrels from Jack Daniels and Jim Beam, and they'll age the Canadian whiskey in it. And they might use those barrels for 80 years. Just keep reusing them and reusing them. So you won't pick up any charcoal, because the char is going to wear away, right, after 80 years. It's just not going to play a big, but the wood is going to be there, so that's going to play a major part. Another thing about Canadian whiskey, their barrels are they stand them upright, vertically. In the United States, you notice they put the barrel sideways. Does it make a difference? I don't know. I don't know why it would make a difference. There's more rye spice here. More rye. Which is which? Well, I think that the northern, no, I don't know. I think the Northern Lights might have more wood and rye, but I'm not very confident at all. I'll take one more sip from each, and then I'm going to give my verdict because people don't want to hear this drug out all night, and I understand that. They're both winners. In my booklet, they're both winners. I mean, go for it, buy it. I'm going to say this is the Hunter. Oh, first failure, and I was worried about that. This is the first time I've gotten it wrong. That was the Northern Lights. So, haha, they were too similar one to another. So it's been about 10 different taste challenges, and I finally got it wrong. Oh well, I'll live with that. Beefeater is good or okay.
It's a gin.
Yeah, I've never had Beefeater, but I like beef. But I've never had that gin.
I never had that gin either. I only had besides the Tanqueray, I had this other gin.
My uncle's going to be 68 years old this year, and he loves Tanqueray and tonic.
Some people really don't like tonic water. I think it's very refreshing, that lemon lime flavor of it. I like it.
Oh yeah, he's just a real fan. Well, folks, I couldn't tell them apart. I got it mixed up. But my final verdict is that either way it goes, you'll be happy with, well, I mean, I am. I can't speak for other people. But I'm happy with Canadian Hunter or the Northern Lights. So
yeah,
I have nothing else to say about it. I will be drinking this for a few more years. Probably look how much I have left. This is going to last a couple of more years probably.
Oh, wow.
And this one, it's a brown bottle, but it's going to last a good while too. So, hey, there we go. Winner and a winner.
Winner and a winner. I'll give this a 95% out of 100. You know, it deserves to be in the mid 90s.
Yeah, I'm so excited about trying it. And I think I just had a little sip one night at the Knights of Columbus Hall. Just think about this. If that base model is a 95, can you imagine what the blue label would taste like? It might be 195. It better be for that money.
You know what? The blue label, you might have to really be in a very enthusiastic, energized, electrified mood to bring that to one of the shows.
Yeah.
Any of the shows, Dawn Busters or this public library we have tonight over here, just me and you. It's like going to Barnes and Nobles. Very peaceful.
Hey, but that's all right. You know, we have Fandango Friday. If a gang of people want to join, good. If they don't want to join, that's fine. I'm not like paranoid about that.
But we have plenty of viewers.
Yeah.
You know, it's just that sometimes we get a full panel. Sometimes we get 3. And in this case, just us. But it's still a show.
Yeah, and it's very pleasant and peaceful. I worked 8 hours today. I don't have a whole lot of Fandango in me anyway after working 8 hours, and I've been up since about 2:30 this morning. So I'm very pleased to just sit here and spend time with you doing these.
Yeah.
I mean,
I mean, no. I sometimes you want serenity. Sometimes you don't want craziness.
Right.
We could talk about things like what I did the other day. I made hot cocoa by putting 2 teaspoons of baker's cocoa in a small pot of filtered water. I have the zero filtration system, not the Brita anymore. This one's better. And I put a candy cane from this past December. I melted a candy cane in the boiling water, which had peppermint and sugar. So it was a very interesting peppermint hot cocoa, which you can probably put a shot of something in it if you want.
Yeah.
And I went to the buffet today, and they had some of the interesting things they had was paella with various shellfish. Um,
Man.
and they had, what I did was, of course, I took a video of it. I'm going to be putting it on tomorrow. They had a fettuccine alfredo with jumbo shrimp and broccoli. So what I did was I took that, and then I put the bouillabaisse. They had like a bouillabaisse in a white sauce with all different shellfish, scallops and mussels and clams and shrimp and squid. So I poured that over the fettuccine, and it went good together. Now when they have the red they call it zuppa di pesce in Italian, a combination of fish with a tomato-based sauce. I will put the pasta in a pink sauce, which is tomato, cream, and some cheese, and pour that over that. So I do different things there. They had a lot of good roast duck. It was a decent buffet. The ice cream, I had chocolate because they had these I don't know what the hell they were. It looked like somebody took ink from different neon colored magic markers and they were just too brightly colored for me to consume. It was almost like it was radioactive from Chernobyl or something. And it was just really vividly colored. And I passed. So I just had the chocolate. And they had flan. If you've ever had custard.
Oh yeah, right. That's really good. Yeah.
A lot of eggs in there, egg yolks. If you're you'll be in ecstasy with that flan. And a lot of good food. They had lamb. They had Arabic rice, which was interesting. It was a seasoned rice with slivered almonds and hunks of lamb meat with the bone cooked together. You could taste cumin because the Middle East use that spice. It was good. So all in all, it was pretty good buffet. So no Pop-Tarts or Hot Pockets or oatmeal there. So all enjoyable food. And then the guy, Mongolian barbecue dude, was usually during the holidays, he has the whole grill full of everyone's plate. Everyone that has a different plate. It's not a holiday, but the whole grill was taken up, and people were bringing him platters left and right. You custom design what you want.
Right.
You put the raw foods on a plate, and then and then he said, "What kind of sauce you want? You want a little sesame oil? You want a little soy sauce? You want hot sauce? And then he stir fries it, but the whole griddle was taken up. Of course, I videoed it. I'm getting somebody hungry. The Whiskey Scout, bless his heart. He already had dinner. Okay. Yeah, lamb. The owner is Turkish, so everything is halal. There's no pork, but I eat pork everywhere else, so I'm not going to cry that there was no pork, even though I wish there was pork. But he had everything else but pork. So So anyway, so that's about it. Middle Eastern food could be very tasty and aromatic, like Indian food.
That sounds good.
That's what you call interesting filler. Like not like white rice in a burrito, but good filler. I mean, when you got a little time to kill, you throw some interesting things. Oh, interesting things.
Yeah, I like hearing about all that stuff. Actually,
like the lying, fake, phony fraud Native American by the name of Elizabeth Warren, old gooseneck Warren, getting desperate in her campaign and her.
I was about to ask you a question because I believe you and I had a discussion offline one time, and you said you didn't think a woman could come on Fandango Friday, and I said, what are you talking about now? You are, I mean, you're going to deny it, and I'm saying, are you calling me a liar? And
hey, Bernie, are you Bernie Sanders? You call me? I never said that. I never. Listen, a woman can.
Did you just call me a liar? Okay.
A woman can physically be anywhere she wants to be. Okay, especially if she's pleasing to the old eyeball. Okay, she's more than welcome. Okay, but the thing is that I feel that I have to change. Well, I have to watch my vocabulary on your show anyway. But if there's a woman, if there's a woman here, I mean, I could still be sarcastic with my humor. I just, now if a woman came on one of my shows, I have to tell her that this is hardcore. So you're gonna have to, your ears might be going woo 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 woo. Like when Shemp on the Three Stooges, sometimes his ears would go like, But I'm not going to change my habits or personality because I'm going to respect their feminism and their desire for equality, and that's about it. But if they're pleasing to the eye, listen. Even if they're not pleasing to the eyeballs, and they know a lot about liquor, of course they're welcome. They could be an alligator wrestler from the bayou. They come on.
What about roller derby women?
Some of them were cute. And for guys that like it a little rough, some of them weren't bad looking. They can come on, roller derby skaters. If they have something to offer and they have a review, of course they can come on. But am I gonna be like a church mouse? Not really. But
you and I were talking about like the old song.
Elizabeth Warren is desperate. She's down in the polls. She's down in her campaign contributions, and she had to take a cheap shot that wasn't even true. And her own campaign people told her, back off. Just cut it. But the problem is the mainstream American media won't stop. They kept on going on and on. The View. A bunch of grouchy, overweight women that are on that show. Joy Behar, Whoopi Goldberg. They were all bashing Bernie, calling him a misogynist. Right away, taking the side of Gooseneck Warren. When she talks, she bobs her neck like a slinky. Looks like a slinky. Round the right. She's actually pretty decent looking for a tough girl like that. What about Tessa Blanchard, Tully Blanchard's daughter? I can't believe that the promoters of TNA gave the world title to a woman, Tessa Blanchard. Talk about political correctness and pandering. They had to put the belt on Tessa Blanchard just to satisfy all the feminazis out there. But anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Well, are you against Elizabeth Warren because you don't like Indians?
Hey, no, I like the Hakawis on F Troop. I always admire. It is Balloon. Remember that episode? It is Balloon. No, I'm not. I love indigenous people. I think they're fantastic. It's just that Elizabeth Warren is not one of them.
But she said she was.
She, hey, I can say I'm a blue blood. I have a royalty back in southern Italy. I can say I'm next in line to be Pope. I can say that aliens visit me at 3 a.m. and tell me things, tell me secrets. I mean, I can say anything. So Elizabeth Warren says, I'm Native American. Hey, how you do? How you doing? How you doing? Does that mean we have to believe her?
Now he's saying, what is TNA? I don't know. What is TNA?
I mean, I'm sorry, not TNA. Impact Wrestling. It used to be called Total Nonstop
Action.
Action. It used to be when Jeff Jarrett ran it. Now it's just Impact Wrestling. And they had it was a joke. They had Tessa Blanchard beating this big muscle bound guy called Brian Cage. He would destroy her in real life, but they caved to the political correctness of, you know, women becoming maybe equal to or beyond men.
Yeah, I work in a manual labor setting these days, and I hear the song a lot on social media and the major media that it's like Annie Oakley. Anything you can do, I can do better. Anything you can do, I can do better than you. But interestingly, going along with that theme, when there's something heavy to pick up, all of a sudden Annie Oakley's out the window and they say, I need a man to help me.
How come Annie Oakley, where I've worked, had these long, beautiful manicured fingernails? I'm going to imitate her. Excuse me over there, James. Can you come over here for a little bit and give me a hand? Give you a hand? You got more seniority than me. You're making more money than me. How come you're always calling me over? Ah, come on. You're a big strapping dude. Yeah, you can't help me out. Why should I? You want equal pay for equal work, right? And who told you to grow nails and get them all pretty and manicured? You know, like, but that wasn't the point. The point was she could have gone up the ladder a few steps and placed the item on the shelf. But, you know, come on, be a gentleman. Yeah, be a sucker, you mean. Be chivalrous. I said, listen, that whole chivalrous, gentlemanly thing, that went out centuries ago. I says, you think I'm going to lay my expensive leather jacket on a puddle for you to cross over? It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen there, toots. Hey, what's that? Yeah, they used to say that in the old days, toots. That was a funny word. Hey, toots. Oh, speaking of toots, do we have any? How many goyles, like Archie Bunker used to say, are in the craft beer world?
Toots Shore.
Toots Shore. There used to be a promoter in wrestling called Toots Mont. He was partners with Vince McMahon Sr. And at that time it was called the Capital Wrestling Company before it became the Worldwide Wrestling Federation. His name was Toots Mont, and the reason why he was Toots is because he had very soft little hands. He had very smooth, you know, like the Palmolive commercial. So they teased him and they called him Toots. But he was a wrestler, you know. Gorgeous George got his robes from Bob Hope, by the way. Bob Hope was very responsible for Gorgeous George's outfits. Brett turned heel. That was great. I missed the NWO of WCW with Hollywood Hogan and all those guys. Yeah, I started watching pro wrestling in 1970. I'd say in the early 70s, when we had something called ultra high frequency stations
Yeah.
UHF, and it was like this antenna was like a ring,
Yeah. UHF. Yeah.
and you had to play with the ring in different directions, you know. And those are the days where your picture tube burned out, and the TV repairman came to the house, you know. And I was the remote control, by the way, for my grandparents. Hey, kid, put on channel 2, you know. But there wasn't that many stations back then, you know, and we had TV Guide. So, but anyway, yeah, wrestling, the territory days you're talking about, when every part of the country had a TV tape promotion. Like there was like Jim Crockett promotion, you know, Charlotte, North Carolina. Then you had Georgia Championship Wrestling. It's still NWA. They were both NWA. Tampa Armory, Florida, NWA Florida. Then you had Olympic Auditorium, Los Angeles. You had Jerry Lawler and some other guy in Tennessee.
Yeah. Mid-South.
Then you had the Von Erichs in Texas. Von Erichs. Yeah, Rocky Johnson, Dwayne Johnson's father, just died. He used to tag team with Tony Atlas, you know. Outstanding athlete. Big guy, too. Rocky Johnson, God rest his soul. Undertaker was Mark Calloway, was created by Vince McMahon. I remember when he was one half of the, I think they were called the Skyscrapers in Georgia and Florida. It was Calloway and Danny Spivey. Razor Ramon is Scott Hall from the AWA, Vern Gagne, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Vern Gagne trained a lot of famous wrestlers. A lot of them came out of his school. And what happened was he killed someone in a nursing home. He had Alzheimer's, right? So Vern Gagne, somebody was taunting him, saying, "Come on, wrestling's fake. You're a punk. Yeah, you're fake. You're fake." So Vern Gagne put him in a crippling hold, and he killed the guy. So the nursing home kicked Vern Gagne out. "You're out." Yeah, and the daughter had to take care of him until he died. Yeah, so he knew all the holds, all the submission holds. When it comes to sports, and Ronald J knows, you can go on and on. It could be nostalgic baseball, it could be football, it could be anything. You know, it's Gold Dust is Dusty Rhodes. He was the natural Dustin Rhodes, who is now in the new promotion run by Cody Rhodes. All Elite Wrestling. They have it's on TV now. It's a great show because a lot of the older wrestlers that had a falling out with Vince McMahon, they have some place to go and work and make a living. It's now Impact Wrestling, yes. Impact is not out of Tennessee, or it's now, the main office is now in Canada, Ranius. Interesting. Kerry Von Erich. A lot of them died. They had bad luck, that family. Very terrible luck. I watch a lot of, I put a lot of old vintage promos and interviews and matches on my fitness, Facebook fitness group. A lot of the old Jerry Lawler stuff, and from all the territories. You know, funny as hell, because guess what? You had to create your gimmick. Your music, your outfit, everything, your personality. Not like today, where Vince McMahon tells you everything, every fine detail that you have to do. You had to create your character. You know, Dusty Rhodes, even though he was fat, the guy can move fantastically. He was fast. He had the charisma in doing interviews, like Roddy Piper. Superstar Billy Graham. You know, these guys had charisma. You know, Jesse Ventura out of the AWA, Minnesota. These guys created their own gimmicks, their own characters. You know, it's not like they weren't told what to say. they gave them. They say, oh, you're going to be a heel or a baby face. So you're a bad guy. You're a heel, and the heel is important because they get the bodies in the seats. They get people to buy tickets. So the heel makes the baby face ultimately look good at the end.
Here's a message.
We had Houston wrestling in Houston when Flair came down, fight Hacksaw Butch Reed. Yeah, well, Hacksaw Butch Reed was a big guy. Remember Hercules Hernandez? Remember Jeep Svensson? George Cannon, big time. What was that? Crybaby? Is that the one they called Crybaby Cannon when he became a manager? Yeah, the old days of the territories. When I first watched wrestling, it was Worldwide Wrestling Federation. Pedro Morales had the title, and then Bruno won it back. Bruno Sammartino won it back for the second time for 3 or 4 years by beating Stan the Man Stasiak, the heart punch guy. And Bruno didn't get along with Vince Sr. because Vince Sr. was overworking him. And in those days, the wrestling ring was an old boxing ring, and it was very hard. So when you got slammed, it was brutal on your back because there's a coil spring. This is for another show, but there's a coil spring under plywood under the mat. And as a courtesy, you body slam your opponent in the middle where the coil spring is. Are you talking about the old ECW? Sandman, Paul Heyman's out of Philadelphia. Yeah, and you see what happened when they got a time slot on the USA channel? Vince McMahon screwed them over. I used to watch ECW at 1 a.m. every Saturday. And I know Tommy Dreamer because, I worked for 10 years for pro wrestling. I knew a lot of these guys. Tommy Dreamer is a very nice guy. We hung out with Jimmy Snuka. We used to go to the buffets when he was alive. Greg Valentine, Tony Atlas, Brutus Beefcake, King Kong Bundy. We all hung out because I was, from doing security, I became a bad guy, a heel manager for the independent circuit. So I got to meet a lot of people, and we used to talk in the locker room. We used to go out, afterwards, and a lot of nice people, smart guys. They're not like they are in front of a camera. A lot of them are normal, intelligent. Bam Bam Bigelow passed away. Yeah, he was trained by Pretty Boy Larry Sharp, the Monster Factory. It was Diamond Dallas Page, I think, Bigelow, King Kong Bundy came out of the Monster Factory, which was Larry Sharp. He was kind of a jobber. Now, Johnny Roz had put out a lot of stars. The unpredictable Johnny Roz has his school at Gleason's Gym in Brooklyn, New York. He put out a lot of stars. But anyway, this man has a Dawn Busters to do tomorrow morning, probably.
Yes.
So we're gonna have to. My old school fitness group is called the International Brotherhood of Pahlivans, Pahlvan, Pahlivans. It was named after Pahlavani, which is the martial arts. Remember when the Iron Sheik used to bring the Persian clubs in the ring? Being that he liked me and I got along great with him, and I have 2 pairs of Persian clubs in my living room that I use. I named it after the Persian martial arts, which is like grappling, wrestling. Yeah.
Oh, right. They used to talk about that in the Batman comic books. Yeah.
Grappling. Catch wrestling was the old term. In the days of Lou Thez, Strangler Lewis, they called it catch wrestling was when you knew how to twist somebody into a pretzel and put them in a submission hold and make them, that was the real deal. And He was, yeah, we try to, we honor martial arts like kung fu. I put a lot of full-length kung fu movies on the page, as well as old school wrestling and different fitness, drug-free fitness. Safe drug-free fitness. No, Bam Bam. He moved great for a guy his size. I mean, even Kamala moved pretty fast. Remember Abdullah the Butcher? He used to stick the plastic fork in the guy's forehead, and he gave somebody hepatitis C.
What does this comment mean? I'm a BSK guy, not.
That's a good question. Andre the Giant was one of the greatest alcoholic consumption humanoids that ever lived. Andre could suck down whiskey like it was nothing, beers. Yeah, a shooter or a hooker. Somebody who knew catch wrestling that can put you in holds and just make you tap out. Yeah. Well, it's a shame. A lot of these guys died young. They had issues, a lot of them are addicted to like Oxycontin, painkillers. I knew a wrestler who did pretty well in the business that was addicted to Oxycontin because he had to live with pain. And
Oxycontin, yeah.
It's a bad. It's an opiate, right?
Yeah, opioid. Yeah.
Opioids, yes. Yep, ECW. Well, Paul Heyman kind of like stiffed a lot of people too on ECW. See, that's the problem. It's a sleazy, seedy business. The promoters are not the most honest people of integrity. George Cannon. Yeah, it was Dick the Bruiser. Then there was all those guys. Yeah, they all came out of the AWA, Vern Gagne. There was Ricky Steamboat. It was Ric Flair. It was Jimmy Snuka. Billy Robinson. There was like a whole host of stars that were trained by Vern Gagne, American Wrestling Association. Yeah, well, we ran out of liquor talk, so we had to put some filler in the burrito. But this man here is a big fan of good food also. He'll tell you food stories, recipes, and Macho Man Randy Savage, poor guy, got a heart attack while he was driving. That's Angelo Paffo's son. So Lanny Poffo was his brother. Yeah, Randy Savage. Yeah, well, barely. Adam Hart. I know Owen Hart. They made him do that stupid stunt where he was suspended from the ceiling, and it broke. Would you say? Oh yeah, Nikolai Volkov. Yeah, Nikolai Volkov, Iron Sheik's tag team partner. He was one of the guys that hung out with us. He lived he died, but he lived on a farm in Maryland. He bought a farm in Maryland, and he's actually Croatian. He's not from the Soviet Union. He's Yugoslavian. He was Yugoslavian. Iron Sheik is Hussein Khosrow Vasiri. He did win the bronze or gold medal in the Pan Am Games in Greco-Roman wrestling. He was in the military, in the Iranian army during the Shah, when the Shah was in charge. Tonga. You know what I like to know? If that mandible claw that Mike Rotundo's son is using, which was like what Cactus Jack used. I wonder how that applies pain, how it works. Yeah, Lex Luger looks terrible. He was with Elizabeth when she died of an overdose of drugs. Randy Savage's ex-wife at the time. She died in his condo from an overdose. Sting. Remember Blackjack Mulligan? That's Barry Windham's father. Kendall Windham, Blackjack Mulligan. I mean, Barry Windham, Kendall Windham. Yeah, Blackjack Mulligan. It was him and Blackjack Lanza. They were managed by Captain Lou Albano. Yeah, he's a big. He was like 6'9". You know, Piper. They're dying young, dropping like flies. Haystack Calhoun, wow, he died. Yeah, like Yokozuna, 600 pounds. Yeah. Savage Salvatore, I don't know. Was he in the independent circuit? Yeah, I still have a video when I was a heel manager. I still have a video from years ago on YouTube. I was with the reinforcer Andrew Anderson, who's the nephew of Arn Anderson, and I was the Wizard Ozzy Bucco. That's what I actually did, and then yeah. So anyway, those were the fun days.
Well, this has been a fascinating Fandango Friday. People love hearing this kind of talk, and so we're gonna get off because I'm gonna go lay down and watch some basketball, and then do Fandango Friday tomorrow morning.
You got Dawn Busters tomorrow morning.
I mean, not Fandango Friday. What am I saying? Dawn Busters.
You got Dawn Busters, and we covered politics, professional wrestling, and food. Right,
and liquor.
And liquor until we ran out of liquor things to talk about. But you know, we added some guacamole and some rice to the burrito. Sergeant Slaughter. I don't know how true this is, but Sergeant Slaughter and the Grand Wizard of Wrestling were kind of like dating. I'm not joking around either. Yeah, George the Animal Steel. Yes. So his name was James Myers. James Myers. He was a physical fitness professor in Michigan. He's from Michigan, and then he retired and moved to Florida. But he died. Yeah, I loved George the Animal Steel. I like Freddie Blassie when he was younger because he used to gnaw on people's foreheads until the blood rushed out. I was always fond of biting, you know, especially when you bite like Bela Lugosi, when you bite a good-looking woman on the neck. I always had an inclination towards that. So anyway, listen, very troubling. The man has to get his rest. Arn Anderson, yeah, you see the size of him when he was in his prime. Columbus, Georgia. Oh, I remember the Omni in Atlanta used to have a lot of big shows for the NWA. Yeah, classy Freddie Blassie. He used to gnaw on the forehead. But I think women love the whole Bela Lugosi thing. I think there's something that turned them on about a vampire creeping up on them at night when they're in bed. They won't tell you, they won't admit it, but I know that they like that. So, but that's a good thing because then we get to bite them on the neck. So anyway, have a good night, everybody.
All right, folks.
Fandango into oblivion. The Oak Boys, Did they use oak barrels when they made their bourbon? The Oak
All
Ridge
right.
Boys? No, I don't. Elvira.
Oh, Dawn Busters tomorrow is going to be the Northern Lights versus another Canadian blended whiskey. I can't remember which one I've got, but hopefully I'll get it right. Sign stealing has existed since baseball began. People say it's another level. Well, yeah, but you can't allow it because then it deteriorates the whole process. All right. Well, y'all take care now.
Adios, people. Good night.
Go watch some food reviews now.